Okay, thank you very much. It is a great privilege to be able to participate as a humanist to this kind of events, as an urbanist to this kind of events, because we would like to participate in this symposium, allowing us to talk about sustainable cities. I would like to talk the Metropolis experiment for sustainable cities. When we talk about super cities, we're not dealing with mega cities. It's just that we can have the opportunity to make sure that super cities can be smart cities. It is a combination of artificial intelligence and human intelligence, and that's why AIs and technologies manage to create smart cities, but human intelligence stay more important than AIs, because we need to find consensus and we need to have a better understanding of the future. Super intelligence can be applied to cities, and it leads to the birth of super cities. So here, what was behind the birth of Metropolis, which is an innovation center for cities and regions. It is the headquarters of Metropolis in Madrid. Here is our philosophy, this concept of a super city, and in order to show how smart a territory can be. I would like now to share a few ideas with you, very specific ideas on cities and how cities can be developed internationally. Cities have never been developed as much as they are being developed now. We witnessed development processes of cities around the world, and I would like to talk about the growing values of mid-sized cities. We are at the forefront now. Decades ago, the mega cities were the one growing the most, but at the moment, middle-sized cities are getting even more important, and in less than 20 years, they will participate in 37% for the global economy, not only 11%. And it is quite interesting to have this point of view, because this middle-sized city, thanks to polycentrisms and the new urban concentrations, will be able to work hand in hand. And how these middle-sized cities can collaborate in this global world. They need critical mass in order to serve their fundamental functions nowadays. They need to get new talents. They need to get these new specializations of universities. They need to benefit from financial specializations. They need an international committee. The only option of middle-sized cities in order to get the importance that they need is to collaborate with one another by creating urban systems or by creating territorial diamonds. What are territorial diamonds? They are cities working hand in hand with one another and creating competitive advantages. Indeed, these advantages are complementary to the others. And we've talked about that in the United States, because we've talked about about those diamond cities there first. Let's talk about Atlanta and Boston. They are the city of the future. They are polycentric cities, which will be the main driver in the future. In Europe, you can witness this diagonal showing the Mediterranean diamond with Madrid, Barcelona, and Valencia. We can go from one place to another thanks to high-speed trains, and it could help creating the future infrastructures in order for those cities to fulfill their peculiar role in the future. When it comes to Bilbao, it is the Basque Country diamond with San Sebastian and Victoria, and we proposed a Y-shape system with a high-speed train connecting those three cities, and it became a reality. It is impossible for an isolated country to play a role without collaborating with anyone else. They need to be a part of this strategic collaboration. For example, in 1983, Bilbao was deeply impacted by floods, and it went from there to the Bilbao we all know now. And for the past 25 years, we managed to transform the city of Bilbao. I would also like to share with you a very specific reference. I would like to talk about Singapore because Singapore is one of the main references in the Asian continent. It is a very small island. It is only 45 kilometers wide and 25 kilometers in weight. And it is exactly the same which is happening in Málaga with one of projects taking place in 25 hectares this year to attract talents. And we didn't want to create cooperative spaces. We just wanted to create space in order to live, to learn, to cooperate, and to have our leisure times. Many different people managed to work together in order to create the needed innovation. It was what was behind the creation of this project. It was very inspired by the historical centers. And maybe the historical centers will provide the next activity areas of the future, because there will be people where inhabitants would like to settle. In Singapore, the project's reached to an end. 500,000 people are working on one-off currently, and it could be quite interesting for other cities in the world in order to encourage innovation. In this specific case, Singapore transformed this island in an urban solution experiment laboratorium. It could be the same in Europe, but also in Latin America, in Africa, and you can see that Singapore can attract particularities, synergies, and they implement them in Singapore and export them internationally. Those ideas can also be implemented in Madrid through a public-private initiative. It is very complex to build cities only thanks to the public or a private initiative. The public-private cooperation is fundamental. In the case of Madrid, 6 months ago, we decided to put in place the Madrid Innovation Lab. It is a cooperation between the regional government of Madrid, the Spanish cluster for urban solutions, and the Metrópoli Foundation. And it was the best way for us to analyze with the public and the private sector to the different opportunities offered by the Madrid of the future. It would be particularly interesting to be the great connector between the North and the South, between Latin America and Europe, and also between the emerging South, which means Africa, and Europe. Here is Madrid, for example. So you can see that where is the light. It is where there is most light in this metropolis. But a few kilometers away from Madrid, there are still 7 million people. It is a very well-endowed city when it comes to infrastructures. The airport is close to the city, and it is possible to reach 160 international destinations from this airport. The high-speed trains in Spain are all connecting in Madrid. There are 2 different train stations, the Cher Martin and the Atocha train stations. I would like now to show you the urban trains and the metro network. It is quite difficult to find a city with as many infrastructures, and we are building a project based on that. You can see that the first ring around the city is what we call the M30, and it is an underground motorway. We would like to use it in order to change it into a laboratorium for the city of the future. Those rings seem particularly crucial for us because we would like to analyze even more the opportunities offered by a urban area inside the ring. We managed to identify the main regional hubs. It is quite technical, but you can see different points on the screen, and it shows where the centers are. There are the different points which seems to be in the suburban areas of Madrid, but it is at the core of the urban center. It can be fundamental. There can be fundamental hubs in order to make sure that there is not too much pressure on the city center. center. I think that those accesses could be road boulevard instead of motorways. We can also put in place the same infrastructures as we can see in Auckland and Copenhagen with a bike path, and to provide softer access to Madrid, we could transform everything into a great boulevard. When it's the case of Madrid, this motorway, you can drive on 120 kilometers on this motorway. It is quite close to the city center, and it's not that logical to see that those motorways are so close to the city center. So that's why we decided to create a bigger boulevard in order to create this space and decarbonize the city, to make sure that there are more green spaces, and to decarbonize the buildings as well. And thanks to the digital technology, we would like to refurbish those areas. And in the more central areas of Madrid, we analyzed which were the best days in order for public transports and for the delivery days for e-commerce companies. And so we have the gray lines, which are key lines, and the green lines, which can evolve. The current model of the different districts are clearly showing that there's not a lot of activities around those districts, even though in the new ones there could be more activities. We identified 310 hubs of urban activities. For example, in Salamanca, we could make sure that there are more activities in the inner cores of the buildings. In this way, we could make sure that children and elderly people could be more present on the streets in order to make sure that the city is more attractive. Here is the situation inside Madrid. You can see the different hubs here, the different districts, which were small villages which were absorbed by Madrid, and they could become new activity centers in the different neighborhoods. Thanks to which it would be easier for us to transform this territory. It could become a more polycentric territory. Here is the example that Alcabindas, for example, in the Madrid suburbs. And last but not least, I would like to talk about Málaga, because Málaga is a little bit more than Málaga. In 15 minutes, it is possible for you. You have more than 550,000 inhabitants, and if you go further away from Málaga, you're reaching more than 1.5 million inhabitants.
And so now you can see that there is a city that is linear. This is what we can see on a satellite. And we can see from Marbella, Alta Antequera, all of these touristic developments are along the coasts. And in Malaga, there are some incredible places like the harbor. We have the historical center. We also have a cultural heritage. There is the university campus. There is a lot of connectivity. This is important to be able to develop the international airport at Malaga. The high-speed trains, technology is important, of course. The challenge here is for the the environment to be able to recuperate. So I think that this is what's important, and this is what needs to happen for us to be able to transform this city. And we can show the world that a mid-sized city can have a global impact, and it can be a reference. Some cities have a project, some cities don't. And I think that during this expo, the opportunity that we can have is to show everyone the project that we want to do in Andalusia, and to show how this city in Andalusia could be a model. And to finish this presentation, just a small message from Maimouna Mo Sharif. She is the executive director of United Nations Human Settlements Program. She's an environmentalist. She was the mayor of a city in Malaysia. And after 4 years of leading the United Nations Human Settlements Program. She worked in a lot of cities, and she saw that a lot of cities don't get enough money for their projects. So rather, cities that have a project in mind, a well-defined project, are able to attract investment, and they're able to develop in the right way. Thank you for your attention.